because the team is disbanded, but at the same time, I mean, technically they still could be relegated. It's not impossible.
It's not impossible, however, highly unlikely. They are a couple points clear of the drop. I believe actually 3 points clear of the drop. So any amount of points tonight with a loss out of Get Flanked versus Apex in the off.
What if Rival wins?
And that's something to keep an eye on. We'll update you guys when that match starts, but that offline broadcast match between Apex and Get Flanked, like I said, if Get Flanked get anything out of that match, it basically turns the predictions as far as these last couple days.
Everything on its head, yeah.
Exactly.
I agree 100%. Well, we are going to get into it with eClipse versus CD here very shortly. Predictions, as I always ask.
So you got to favor eClipse as always. They did struggle a little bit versus M60s. CD, not necessarily in the best form. They're definitely playing better than they were early in this season. They played M60s on Thursday in the offline broadcast match, and they struggled early on. I believe it was a cliff where they kept dropping points.
So 5-1 or 5-0? What are you predicting? Or maybe even being so bold as to say 5-2?
It would really depend upon which CD shows up tonight. I've seen CD with some very bright
That's also
bright
very
spots.
fair.
And also it depends on the Eclipse shows up. You got to remember, Eclipse is
also
safe.
Also depends on who Eclipse brings lineup-wise.
Yep. So with Eclipse being safe, I would probably say a 5-1, 5-2, maybe taking the foot off the gas a little bit.
All right. Well, we'll find out. Let's head into the very first map of Eclipse versus CD.
Ghost Town. The first absolutely symmetrical map, made especially for 7 versus 7 games. The teams start the battle on opposite sides. There are numerous ways to attack here. One of the bases is located in the central square, the other one at the top of the city. The hardest battles are usually fought for the top base, and this calls for the use of heavy tanks. Sometimes the teams choose fast tanks for spotting and base capturing.
Here we go, battle number 1 between Eclipse and Team CD. And it looks like for Team Eclipse, we're going to have a 215B, a 113, an E5, an I7, 250Bs, and the 251. Meanwhile, CD bringing 3 113s, 250Bs, and 2 Tier 9 Batchets.
Check out this camo and these obnoxious colors. Some may like it at the blue.
I actually think it looks great. I like purple and blue.
That is so bright. Meanwhile,
I also love the blue and yellow, though.
Yeah, looking at Eclipse coming out with some Laker colors there
almost.
He doesn't
Talk
quite
about taking your foot off the gas, huh?
Yeah, however, looking at it.
Whoa, hello,
113. Just 3 113s on the cap right now, really trying to force this cap pressure, and they're lurking with their auto litters on the south end. They have the Batchat T9s.
So this is
down in the south.
This is what I was talking about earlier when we saw, I think it was high, not properly supporting. Right now, Team CD with those 250Bs could potentially come in and cause a lot of havoc with the flank.
Yeah, they could come around on the short corner right there at T6, and then the Batchats at the south could come around even further and come up the 4 line there and really put Eclipse in a tough...
Wow, 10 seconds left already. 9 seconds here. This could be potentially one of the fastest wins we've ever seen. 3 seconds, 2, 1.
The reset.
Team CD, are they going to do it? Oh, wait a second.
They get the reset.
Huge resets. Now, finally, here come the 250Bs trying to get in position to take some sort of advantage out of this battle. Lots of damage already coming out of Team Eclipse.
And these 113s are in a lot of trouble. CD not rotating their guns quickly enough.
Oh, no, and Mort getting... Fixer Reloaded getting taken down. Mort going to follow suit. T1 Diabetic also in danger of getting taken out while Ox Mathis is in the middle of this. He is surrounding Muriel with Tigers in the 113 and the 215B. And still, the advantage is slightly in favor of Team CD, though.
I like the play out of Eclipse, recognizing they have the overmatch. However, CD did get up here.
Pompous taking so much damage as Rename takes out Ox, and Vetro trades for Pompous.
Like I was saying, CD doing a good job at getting their guns up north, maybe a little bit too slow, but they did get them here, especially with those auto loaders.
Uh-oh. Smiley is on fire. He's burning up.
It does eventually go out, so running rations
it doesn't matter, though. Tigers is going to clean up Smiley now. But 2 tanks left for CD. Relatively good HP. However, they are Tier 9s. And they are facing a Tier 10. Excuse me, two tier 10s. They have wall hacks in the light tier 8 and then that 113.
So the biggest problem for CD is they came in late with those autoloaders, and with autoloaders being so burst heavy, they need to get into that second clip, like I was talking about earlier, very, very quickly. And so for that to happen, they need to get their first clip off. And when you're that far away, you come in late, the other team's already done a lot of damage to your 113s, and it takes a minute for those batch tests to get in there. And then once they can start firing, they get off the first clip, but then they're 40 seconds out. So the later that starts, the less damage that is on the field.
I agree.
So, CD just using rename, poking around the corners here, trying to find some angles. However, eClipse just tucking away in this north corner. They have wallhacks up at a 3, just chilling out there. Meanwhile, a 113 of Tigers playing over here on the south corner, making it very hard. And one shot of damage, I believe, from wallhacks up in the top there, landing into rename. And Brett gets
nice
a
shot. Oh, 2 of them now coming out of Team eClipse. As this was, it was so close for Team CD.
Yep, I like the plan, the execution there, trying to get the timing down. I think it feels just a little bit too long. Like I said, the burst showed up late to the party.
Right.
And so it took a while for them to really turn that around, and they didn't take out any of the consistent fire guns.
And then Pop is
from
melted, as did Smiley Rage.
Yep, exactly. And so, it's really important to get those autoloaders into their second clip. And when you come in late, essentially, almost a minute after the fight starts, it's kind of hard to be effective in any tank coming in a minute late, let alone an autoloader. So, eClipse.
I mean, CD is still fighting. They're not done, but it's.
Well, Baby Halo needs to get out of there.
It's almost a 90-degree uphill battle for them.
But he's going to find Tigers coming around the corner just as Wallhacks comes up.
Yeah. And this is going to be 1-0 in favor of eClipse. Valiant effort. I like it, but not enough.
Wallhacks trying to go for the ram there, doing more damage to himself than to the bat chat. And Brett finishing it off.
Sometimes it's going to happen. So very quickly, we saw the potential for a 1-0, kind of an upset over eClipse from Team CD. Very neat little strat. Unfortunately, eClipse actually dealt with it very well. The response was great, and they were not only able to stop the cap pressure from Team CD, but unfortunately, CD didn't execute their burst properly. Mistime it, like you said, they waited too long. I agree 100%, and they paid for it.
Yeah, and they clawed into that fight, and they were up on HP for a while. When those autoloaders did show up, they managed to put out all that damage and kind of even it back up. But the problem is then, once the damage is out, then all of a sudden they're on reload. And so that second clip comes, that much later. And with eClipse having that many consistent fire tanks, all those 113s, they were able to just sit there and keep firing while those bat chats and 50Bs were reloading. And, looking at it here, Tigers in the consistent fire tank that I was just talking about, 3,900. Wallhacks in another consistent fire tank, 2,200. And then Vetro and the 50B at 2,200. And then the 229 bats actually top damage for their team. And once again, that's because they came in late, so they got off their first clip. But it was kind of after it was meaningful almost at a point. So, And then they got into the second clips, like I said, which is important. However, because that first clip was so late, that second clip came after all the other tanks on their team were dead and just not able to do a whole lot. However, it is Mort in the T110E5 who got just completely evaporated when they made that push and only got off one shot of damage. 4 bounces there, but those were trying to find those reset shots that just never landed. And T1 Diabetic in that 7 also putting up 1,200.
Yeah.
So.
And something I noticed, Master Pupil's actually not even playing right now.
No, exactly.
And he usually is very consistent for eClipse. So again, maybe against Team CD, they feel like they can easily afford to try a new roster change or try out a different lineup. And
it's not even necessarily that. But looking at it, this roster is just so competitive for eClipse. They have so many players that could easily start in that starting lineup. You have Master Pupil and Dark God Zim both not playing tonight.
There's so much talent,
Yeah, Wallhacks coming in there.
And Dark God Zim has been so good in the tier 8 light.
And it just forces that competition within the team. Who's playing better right now, so who gets to start. And so, it kind of makes sure everyone stays on their toes. They don't get complacent.
Because you don't want to get benched.
Exactly. You want to play.
And of course, that's not to say right now that Master Pupil and Dark God Zim are getting benched. It just means that maybe they're trying something different and they want to integrate better into the Ox as well as the
Wallhacks.
Wallhacks, excuse me. Yes, he's on my fantasy team. How could I forget his name? Ox and Wallhacks, they want to integrate them a little better so that when they go into the next round robin, they can easily just swap out X for X.
Exactly. And with Eclipse being safe, not really a big deal they have to worry about right now. Looking at the lineups, 4005, 250Bs, a 113, an E100, a Batchat, and an RU251. Meanwhile, Siebel the tweet. 3 113s, 250Bs, 2 Batchat Tier 9. So still going for that Tier 9 lineup, bringing those Batchats. Once again, last fight, they came in just a little bit too late to really be effective and help them out. Sure, they got damage off, but it was after the rest of the team was pretty much dead. So, meanwhile, CD actually going with a very hard south play very early. They're swinging all their tanks around, leaving the north completely open.
This is not a play I've seen before, James.
So the thing is they're stopping here right now, and if Eclipse realize they're not in the north, they could, stack cap, put a lot of tanks onto that cap, and force CD to have to rotate
as well.
Exactly, and make them have to run the gauntlet to get back to get the resets.
So we see that 113 again a lot. That is a Chinese tank, correct?
Yeah, no, it's a 113. It's Chinese heavy tank. Very good DPM, 440 alpha gun, but it's also pretty mobile for a heavy tank, so it does have some armor.
But it is a bit quicker, yes.
Yeah, the biggest weakness I'd have to say is the armor in general. The front plate is sloped, but not a pike nose like an IS-7.
So angled enough.
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily always bounce a whole lot, and then the turret is also rather
Diabetic deleting X-Soldier off of the face of the map.
And that's what that 4005 is there for. Just the tank came around with its
Diabetic, though, is going down, as is Wallhacks very quickly here. Ox Mathis going to take out Muriel, meanwhile, in the back, but it is going to be Wallhacks falling to rename in the Batchat Tier 9. So already the battle is popping off.
And T1 Diabetic does go down to Fixer Reloaded.
But, oh my goodness, that E100 of Ox Mathis. I mean, that was the freest shot I think I've seen all season. He had so much time.
Well, Fixer just fired and took out T1 Diabetic in that 4005.
And I believe he was tracked as well from a shot that was traded. So
he was just sitting there and just got the shot off, put him out of his misery, and that's going to put Eclipse once again in the driver's seat. And I actually do like this setup from Eclipse right now. Instead of trying to stack the north cap where those Batchats and 50Bs may be able to find some angles, that they're opting to play this middle 2 cap to keep all their guns together and make it really hard for those Batchats.
Yeah, they've actually completely pushed Team CD as if they were on the attacking side right now.
Yeah, and they're sitting here and they have control of this 2 cap, so we may see some 2 cap pressure coming out, which I think is the smart play, making it harder for those Batchats and the 50Bs to really get their guns into this fight without having to trade. The 50Bs and Batchats, obviously neither of them have any armor.
I'm sorry, but I just really love. Not only do I love the camo we now have for these tanks, but I gotta say I think Eclipse's team color, their camo is my favorite. It looks so clean.
I haven't seen the others, so I'm gonna reserve judgment for now. It does look pretty cool.
I do like the purple and blue though, as Mort destroys yet another one of those purple and blue camos.
And it's just a matter of cleanup here for Eclipse. They're up by almost 4,000 HP now. And once again, it's the 2 Tier 9 Batchats left
Ox
alive.
Mathis is just cleaning up house now. And
he's
Team
actually
CD
going to jump off the cliff in the E100 there, the ledge there.
Team CD is going to fall very quickly now 2-0 to Eclipse, as we kind of thought they may have taken their foot off the gas. Not so much, but in fact, it doesn't seem like that at all.
Yep, well, CD, trying some interesting strats here. However, Eclipse did a good job to recognize it. T1 Diabetic finding that 113 of X-Soldier. Just kind of pretty much just erasing him off the map. Just kind of casually click, goodbye, and kind of put an end to his round.
And again, maybe this is because Eclipse, they know Master Pupil's in the face-off. Like, wow, this kid's talking crap. We have to back it up now because he's up there, as the face of the team. And he said himself they're not even going to take a point at all. They're not getting points tonight. And so far, I mean, with the start that they've had against CD, it doesn't really look like they're going to have much of a chance to gain any points.
Yep, so I actually just got some interesting news. Get flanked Apex so far, 2 rounds in.
1-1?
1-1.
Oh!
So Get flanked, that's something to keep an eye on. If Get flanked get any amount of points, let alone a win out of that series.
That's what I'm saying, CD. You're not as safe as you think.
Yeah, I mean, if Get flanked get a win, I don't know what I would do. That's probably one of the most lopsided matches prediction-wise, looking at it.
I think you would potentially have a stroke, and then I would end up sitting here casting alone, which would not work.
Let's not. I like being alive, so.
I never said you would die. I'm just saying you'd have a stroke.
neither of which sound
No,
pleasant.
none of it sounds great. So let's hope that, I guess, Black doesn't win because you're not prepared. But anyways, let's go into the damage stats here. Oxmathis, Mort, and T1 Diabetic just destroying the team of CD.
T1 Diabetic only really got one connection there, and he still did 2,100 damage, so pretty good stuff there.
That's what a 4005 will do for you.
Yep, and Ox coming in at 4,100 over 7 shots, so doing good damage overall. And then, the top tank is Smiley Ridge sitting down there. But once again, not even on an insane amount of damage, not really able to help his team. And
then there's the rest of Team CD, unfortunately, on the bottom. The 50B of Pompous only doing 1,100, rename 1K, and then sub 1Ks for X-Soldier, Baby Halo, and Mariel Scarada. So it's not good right now for Team CD. I mean, it is only one map, sure, but if eClipse is going to be playing like this with this much aggression, I don't know how CD is going to handle it.
Well, a lot of it has to do right now with the strats that CD are coming up with. That first round, they kind of gave away 3 tanks. I don't want to say for free, but almost for free.
And again, had the 50Bs come around the corner earlier, they could have actually won that.
Yeah, if they had gotten those autoloaders involved sooner, and it was really those Tier 9 bat chats that were all the way out in the south, just not able to get up into the rest of that fight and not really get any damage on the board quickly. And so by the time they did get involved, most of those 113s were dead. Right. And it was just too late. And so, just need to tighten things up. I like the ideas. I like what I'm seeing. However, it's just the execution's just a little bit too slow, and Eclipse is always just that one step in front.
Yeah.
So, good stuff from them so far.
Where they tend to be, honestly, against most teams, aside from Quadicum 60s and Apex. So.
Yep, and some rather interesting lineups going into our second map.
Well, let's go ahead and get right into it with our second map of the series.
Muravanka, a map with a great number of buildings, bushes and trees, amongst which teams hide for most of the battle. The attacking team begins the battle from the top of the village, and the defenders start from the bottom of the map. Both bases are better controlled from the hill near the first base, and from the green in the lower left corner of the map. There are many attack directions. The attacking team often attempts to gain the attention of defenders by putting pressure on the first base, whilst manoeuvring several tanks behind the second base to deliver fire into the defending's flank. Team setups are very diverse, but the players often choose the fastest tanks, even for heavy setups. They could even bring SPGs.
James looking at the lineups.
Eclipse bringing 4 bat chats, a Grill 15, a T110E5, and a 1390. Meanwhile, CD bringing 2 T10s, a 113, an IS7, a Grill 15, and 2 bat chats. So opting for that Tier 9 lineup. And right off the bat, CD going with a rather interesting strat, trying to split the map essentially right in half. These T10s just pushing straight up the middle, and tanks on both sides of them kind of supporting them. The I-7 moving down that 4 line there, trying to get up and under this ridge, which Oxmathis is just sitting here on top in that E5. Great hold down tank. He can just sit here and look for free damage. And it looks like he knows Baby Halo's there. However, he just hasn't fired off a shot yet. Meanwhile, Wallhack sitting in the middle of that bush down in the south there, just out of sight, just sitting there spotting that cap with the Grill 15 behind him, just kind of supporting him. But once again, this is the second time where we've seen this double passive scout set up, trying to play some mind games with other team, bringing Tigers in that bat chat, also passive. So just something kind of interesting to keep an eye on, see how the teams are trying to play those mind games.
I'm very curious to know if this is where the new meta is going to be, is double scouting. I don't know.
Yep. And it's risky because it's a second gun out of the fight. One gun, especially Tier 8, you can justify, having it passive. But having a second, and on top of that being another Tier 10 gun that's, out of the fight and passive is definitely risky. It means that the other 5 guns on the team have to, constantly be firing and making sure they're doing a good job. So could backfire against them. Tigers is in a bush where if there's a building right next to him, and so if one of these T10s does manage to sneak up on him, he could get within prox range.
Yeah, an X-Soldier is, I would say, deep behind enemy lines almost. He's very close to this E5 and the bat shot. He's in between in essentially the entire team of Eclipse right now.
Yeah, and Brett's actually looking for a shot if X-Soldier crosses. However, if X-Soldier fires a shot, if X-Soldier gets to this building down to his front left corner, right there on the right side of the screen, he would essentially be close enough to proxlite Tigers. He'd be within that 50-meter prox range. He's really lucky that they haven't spotted him right now, and it may work out that that's the case.
A shot coming on to his rear as he tries to get away. X-Soldier is going to take 700 hit points of damage from that grill. A huge tank destroyer with so much alpha. And again, we talk about alpha so much, and it's essentially the damage.
Yeah, it's just the damage per shot that they do. And you got to remember that there's also the RNG on top of that. So we say, for example, an E5 has a 400 damage or alpha gun, so per shot it does 400. Now it's not including the RNG, 25%. It could roll, obviously all the way down to 300, or it could roll as high as 500, more or less. So just something to keep an eye on. And then, when a team volleys another tank, or as I also say, alpha strikes, it's when multiple guns on the other team shoot the same target.
And he just disappears. Which is what X-Soldier might do right here. He is going to go ahead and spot Tigers.
So X-Soldier made that approach and got to that building, so he proc-slit Tigers. And here's the thing. Now this is where that mind game comes up. Will they figure out that Wallhacks is also passive out here? They know that Tigers was spotting them, and they found him. And now Tigers has had to back off. He's in a very difficult situation. However, now here are the mind games that I was just talking about. Will they figure out that Wallhacks is just sitting here in a bush as a second passive tank?
Well, this is a very interesting turn of events that we've seen for this map, Marvanka. I've never seen kind of engagements happen at these postcodes the way they are right now.
Yep,
and that is because of the positioning of X-Soldier, and now we see Team CD slowly moving in position to somewhat cover him, although he is one shot away from death.
And they will find this Grill 15 rename. He will put a shot into Mort and actually set Mort on fire. However, he still has his fire extinguisher, and it goes out.
These two bat chats here should be able to clean up rename before he even gets another shot off, and Mort is going to do so. Diabetic is going to take out the Baby Halo in that T10. Murillo looking for a shot. Diabetic's trying to get away. A bounce coming off of Ox Mathis and that E5, and very unfortunate for Diabetic as Murillo is going to be able to take him out. Vetro, meanwhile, is coming around this corner trying to support his teammate if he can, which is going to be Mort. Pompous, though, taking him out.
And Wallhack's actually going to leave the bush and get into the fight now, knowing that Wallhack's breaking loose and that all the tanks are scattering.
Yeah, this is a 4-on-5, but you could argue it's not bad at all because Tigers is one shot away from being taken out, and the only tanks that would be left is an E5 that's half HP, a Vetro and the Batchat, and then Brett and a Grill, with Wallhacks the only one being in that 1390, but he's not going to be terribly effective because I'm sure he's built right now for just camo.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Wallhacks is actually going to back out and go back to the same bush that he was sitting in. He's realizing a little bit too close there as that 113 pushes up along the south. And he actually
is looking for something. He might find Brett in this Grill, and he actually is going to
So he put a shot into the dirt, and it was actually the Batchats in the north that are finding the shots onto Brett right now.
I was like, was that a trick shot? Or was it like, yo, check this out, I'm going to bounce this on the dirt? I was so confused.
It's the Batchats just out
That's
of screen.
what I thought it was. Yeah, Smiley is actually going to take him out. Very nice shots from Smiley there. And very quickly, this has gone in favor of Team CD as far as the HP pool, but still a very solid defense coming out of eClipse here, despite being down on HP.
Yep, and the Batchats both flexing out and heading up north, leaving that 113 completely isolated. But it is 4-on-4, and CD are in the driving seat right now. They have the extra 1,300 HP. The only saving grace that eClipse really have is they have Wallhack sitting here in this bush, and CD are not going to have the time to hunt him down, essentially, to try to figure out where he's sitting once they realize that there's a tank spotting them again. So, good stuff there out of eClipse. Very interesting trades there going across in the town. X-Soldier and Tigers back and forth, proc spotting each other, and it's, which team can support their guy better. And both of them going down, X-Soldier went down, and Tigers managed to squeak out alive on, 81 HP. So barely still alive. CD did a good job punishing them for there, but they couldn't find that kill shot.
Pompous here is just taking a nice little stroll down this beautiful countryside as he is trying to spot whatever he can without being spotted himself, heading towards the one line to see if he can find any break in the defense here of Team eClipse, because coming around the flank would be huge for Team CD if Pompous is able to do that for them.
Yep, but the other thing to keep an eye on is look at the timer. Less than 3 minutes left.
2 minutes 45.
And they need to get through this whole team of eClipse to close out this round and put a point up on the board.
Yep, and that 1390, though, here's the thing. They don't know that a lot of these tanks from Team CD, in fact, all the tanks have rotated completely north or to the west now, northwest. And that 1390 is just kind of sitting there, and he's going to be a little bit out of the fight, even though he doesn't have a lot to terribly contribute, but even still, that's That's potentially 2 guns versus 4, as we see Tigers is 1 shot away from going down. But we have seen tanks before with players with very low HP left still able to make a huge impact with their angling and the way that they are utilizing the movement of their tank. So,
yep, and they're actually going to stack cap with both their heavy tanks. I do like this play. They don't have to worry about the passive scout over towards the 5 line, and they can really pull the guns from eClipse out. However, they haven't realized that these Batchets are both over on the 1 line right now. And the push is going to come out of CD here. They're going to push down this 1 line. Now it'll be interesting to see if they stop in the buildings or they try to push up further, which they choose just...
In my opinion, this is honestly Team CD's game to throw.
I don't know if I'd go that far, because all it would take is a couple easy resets, and Wallhacks is in a great position to essentially run away.
Well, excuse me, let me rephrase that. I'm just saying this is their game to lose.
Yeah, they are in a good position right now. However, Wallhacks will find a pretty easy reset here relatively soon. He's just looking through all the buildings trying to find it. And they're just far enough forward on that corner cap at 9 seconds. And Vetro's going to commit along with Wallhacks. And this could be over very fast. These two T10s
is going to be around the corner. Unfortunately, he doesn't get a pen. Vetro's going to take out Maril, and now they're going to focus onto Ox. Pompous taking out Tigers. Vetro and Ox are the only 2 tanks left here, and they're going to focus on Fixer Reloaded. They need to take him out as fast as possible. Bounces coming off Ox, and there he goes.
And this could be CD's point
Fixer
on the board.
Down.
They need to get Ox out of the fight now. He's looking for a shot, and he bounces. He bounces off the Coppola, and now he's reloading, so he has to drive away. Smiley Rage is going to run after Vetro. However, Pompous, I don't think, can get into his clip.
A track from Ox!
And this is all over. Eclipse should have this just off the consistent fire of Ox.
Wow. And there's nothing they can do now.
Smiley Rage going for the ram right there, hopefully trying to take him out. I don't think he'll be reloaded in time to do anything.
There's no way. Wow, what a play from Ox Mathis, showing and a ram to take him out. That was such incredible, intelligent play from Ox Mathis.
Yep.
He knew that he was the throwaway tank in that situation. I mean, if you can even call him a throwaway tank. And he played that just when that tank plays just so right, you know?
Yeah, the E5, a very strong frontally armored tank. It just kind of backed those T10s around the corner in the 113. And he just had to stall out while those Batchats got in position to clean it up. Now, CD made a good play. They came in, they got Wallhacks. They got on the Vetro.
I mean, I gave that, the way that round was shaping up, I gave it in favor of CD. I really did.
And the
biggest
thing there is the failure to kill Ox.
He got there was a few unlucky bounces on him as well.
Yeah, and his angling there was just so hard. Because that E5, the lower plate is obviously the weak spot. And so what he did is he backed his tank up a little bit, and so he made it so that lower plate was actually sloped even further away from that Batchat. And that Batchat doesn't have the greatest APCR pen, but it looks like he was firing heat. And so even then, he couldn't find a good angle on the lower plate, and so he opted to shoot the Coppola on top. The thing is that Coppola isn't necessarily the easiest to pen, even with heat. You have to hit it at the right corner of it, and it didn't pen. And then all of a sudden, from that point on, the fight was in favor of Eclipse. And Ox Mathis just doing work. 3,900 damage, almost 4K. Vetro coming in there at 3,500. And then, the next 3 are actually from CD, with Smiley Rage putting up 3,000 damage. And Smiley Rage is actually second in the league with total damage done this season at just over 100,000.
Most of that was done, by the way, while he was calling. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Well, he said that he was calling before, but he actually switched to X-Soldier since he joined the team.
Right.
But a lot of the damage that he's done so far this season, not tonight, but previously
well, I mean, that's what I meant.
Calling,
yeah, while he was calling. Now he's just a damage dealer, but
yep.
Yeah, it's impressive nonetheless.
And then, looking down, not a whole lot there out of the rest of the tanks. And Wallhacks at the bottom there, and we're going to be on to battle number 4, which once again 3-0 on Muravanka.
So just a quick update for everyone. It is now 2-1 in favor of Apex in the offline match. But I mean, if again get flanked, all they need is 1 point from this. 1 point from Apex would be huge.
Yep, could completely change things around. However, it is also going to depend upon the result of Rival versus 07 tonight.
Correct.
Which is going to be our last match, which is going to be after.
I was going to say, there's a lot I want to talk about there, so we'll save that for when that match comes up, because right now it's about Eclipse versus Team CD as they lead CD 3-0 as we head into battle number 4 on Muravanka.
Yep, and looking at the lineups here, eClipse bringing 2 Bat Chats, a Grill 15, an E5, an Action X, which Vetro has been favoring, and then a T62A. Meanwhile, looking at the other team, 2 113s, 3 Bat Chats, a T10, and a Bat Chat 25 AP. Vetro just bringing this Action X, very good British medium. It plays ridgelines fairly well, has good gun depression, hits pretty hard. Its DPM is not the greatest, but decent tank on a map like this where there's a lot of ridgelines that you can work and you're shooting at distance a lot of the time. Having that gun that does 390 alpha as opposed to the 320 out of a lot of the Russian mediums comes in handy.
Absolutely. And now I'm trying to see where exactly it is.
And CD actually choosing to steal a page out of, I believe it was Deja Vu. They have this 113 in the passive spot over at J9.
Where exactly are they keeping their scouts?
And the rest of eClipse are going to choose to push down here with Ox Mathis and that E5 out in front. So they could suspect that something like this is up.
Oh, man, this could be very unfortunate for X-Soldier in just a moment.
And the biggest thing here is X-Soldier needs to not be spotted before the team of eClipse get around.
I mean, he has the Bat Chats behind him, sure, to support, but
well, if they recognize he's there and the Bat Chats aren't able to get good shots, they're not going to be effective. If E5 can play that ridge line against that 113, that E5 will win that fight every time.
Oh, and they fired a shot, realizing he's there. Bad news bears for X-Soldier. He's going to take quite a bit of damage now, and they're desperately trying from Team CD with Mareel, Smiley, and Pompous back there to get damage back on it. Team eClipse, but it's... Wait a second, Tigers just took all of his hit points and damage.
And they do get X-Soldier down, however...
But that was a very good situation. Ox and Tigers are now trapped.
Yeah, and they're taking damage from the tanks over on the hill.
Fortunately, the Bat Chats are out.
The Bat Chats are out, and they're choosing this opportunity to run, which is it's smart at this point that they're out of shots, and they just need to get out of there while the other guns keep those tanks pinned. However, eClipse are just going to drive forward at this point. However, for the second time tonight, CD in a good position.
Again, but that's what separates these top teams is the ability to finish. And we haven't seen that from, really get flanked CD or Rival.
Yeah, closing out rounds, exactly. And even Deja Vu had problems with that against eClipse when they played them. They'd put themselves in good situations. However, they just didn't make the right plays to close out a round once you have that advantage. They kind of threw away some tanks unnecessarily or gave up map control too soon.
And it wasn't even them getting complacent. It was just them like, holy crap, okay, we have the lead. Now what do we do? And they weren't able to figure it out. And I hope that doesn't happen here as eClipse leads 3-0, but honestly, eClipse and Apex are the two teams that do have that ability and have that experience.
And the rotates coming out of both these teams is rather interesting to look at. With eClipse backing out of the south, rotating their stuff back around the 0 line, and now kind of splitting up, leaving a couple tanks in the south, leaving that grill just kind of in the middle, and moving some other tanks in the north. While CD has actually gone for a complete north rotate.
What?
I think what CD are looking for here is they're looking for the rotate out of eClipse, predicting that they're sending tanks to the north. And so they've moved all of their tanks up into the north to hopefully find the
This
pit.
is interesting.
So CD are a tank down, but they are up on HP by about 800.
So cap pressure starting. I'm still very hesitant about the strat. The biggest problem to me is if eClipse realizes that there's not a single tank over there in the west, they can just stack 3 on this and then pretty much stop any sort of push coming out of CD.
However, they have Ox Mathis and Vetro committed to that forest right now, so if they did rotate out to that one cap, there's a chance that those two could get isolated.
Big brawl about to happen here.
And all the tanks just coming into the forest.
Yeah, fortunately for CD, though, they are behind that defilade there.
And this is going to turn into one
They're
fight.
going to push right over, and here we go.
They're going to try to pick off Ox Mathis while he's isolated from the rest of the team with those Bat Chats.
And all the tanks coming from Team eClipse. They are not leaving anything on cap whatsoever. Mareel going to take down a tank. Brett taking down Rename. Smiley taking down Brett. This is a back-to-back brawl.
CD still up on top, but ever so slightly.
So much damage on wall hacks now as he tries to get away. Baby Halo in the T10 trying to find some angle to get a shot off. He's got to be very careful. The wall hacks is going to be very brave and peek over. Lots of damage coming now on Baby Halo. Still alive.
And I love that play out of wall hacks. He's like, I am the throwaway tank. I'll push around.
Down he goes, and Vetro takes him down the Centurion AX.
So Wallhack's pushed around there. He said, all right, if you want to shoot me, my teammates will get shots off.
Be my guest.
And instead, he just got in behind and got free shots off instead. So win-win situation for him.
And Vetro and Mort are going to double team the 113 of Fixer Reloaded. That was a very low roll. Unfortunately, Mariel is going to take out T1 Diabetic, but Fixer is going to go down in a moment. Wallhack's trying to get a shot. Very low roll there as he only does 129 on Mariel. Mariel is going to go ahead and take out a tank himself. Meanwhile, it's just Vetro and Mort. Now Vetro with more HP. Going to flick a shot. Beautiful. And this is going to do it. Wow. So 4-0 in favor of eClipse. This is potentially one of the fastest series we've witnessed. Even though Moravanka is a slower map from what the season has shown us, doesn't seem like it to eClipse.
Both these teams deciding not to
play. Or
play.
CD. And CD pushed the envelope as well. And I like that strat.
Yeah, they're playing, those aggressive strats, hoping to maybe catch their team off guard. One team assuming it's Moravanka, they're defending. They'll probably be rather campy, as you will, just kind of sit back and be passive. And one of those defenses throw these curveballs, as you will, and get aggressive. It causes for some very quick fights and, a very intense brawl breaking out there in the forest. And Vetro, justifying that Action X, which I was criticizing a moment ago, puts up 4,800 damage with 4 kills. So
I like that tank. I really do. I understand, like, you could choose something like an E5.
Or an E5 if you want the armor, or you say a 430 for the better DPM. But it's in the situation that was in. It's consistent fire, fighting against a lot of bat chats, and he's working through that forest where there's all those ridge lines for him to pop over. And that tank has excellent gun depression and good turret armor. So it wasn't a very good situation in that forest brawl. However, the fight goes away from that forest somewhere else. How much work can it do? Now, obviously, there is the 3-line ridge for him to work in Action X, where the gun depression would also come into play. But he made it work, so, you can't really just nitpicking essentially at that point.
Right. So I am going to kind of spoil it since you probably would do it anyways. Himmelsdorf is actually our next map, which it's going to be, it's going to be very hard for Team CD to take 2 straight on Himmelsdorf, a very defensive-sided map. We've seen eClipse's defense is almost impenetrable on that map.
Yep, so I actually just got an update for the offline broadcast match.
It was 2-1.
It was 2-1. Now it is 3-1 in favor of Apex.
Yeah.
So get flanked back up against the wall there.
Oh, man, it was so exciting to hear that it was tied up 1-1, but do you know what map?
I do not.
Right. Maybe we can get that from our production crew, but that would be interesting to learn what map they actually did take a round on.
Yeah, and at the very least, after tonight is over, all of the replays will be up on waltreplays.com.
Yeah, check
so
that
you can
out.
go download the VODs, see the players' point of view, and you can see all the players' point of views from tonight's matches that we've been broadcasting. You can go and download them there as well.
So that actually helped me play a lot, is going on the VODs and watching none other than Master. I like watching Master Peoples play, as well as the Doma, because the Doma is one of my favorite players. He's also on my fantasy league. But watching from their perspective, you really get a sense of how bad you really are because of the way they angle and they play their tanks.
They just know every little detail.
Yeah,
and they do,
absolutely.
Everything they do is calculated. And I actually just got an update. The round that Get Flanked took was actually on Ruinberg.
Oh, ooh, interesting. So thank you again to our awesome production crew.
Ruinberg defense, picking up around there, not necessarily too surprising. However, with Get Flanked struggles, it's good to see them, pick up the rounds that they should be picking up in theory.
Yeah. So, apparently it was proc. That's what I heard. Maybe you heard something different. I don't know what's happening.
I heard it was Ruinberg. But either way, we are
conspiracies.
Yep, we are into battle number 5.
Yep.
And it is going to be on Himmelsdorf.
Himmelsdorf, a small city map. The teams start the battle in opposite corners. Both bases are located close to each other, but in a way that you can't stay on the defensive all the time. The main attack routes pass through the hill, the alley and the railroad, but in general, the attack can be successfully executed through any part of the map. Heavy tanks and tank destroyers with powerful guns run the show here. However, a lot depends on the mobile light tanks.
All right, going into the battle number 5, the 215Bs coming out of eClipse, as well as the 250Bs, the FE 4005, a T10, and the 430. For Team CD, we're going to have 3 215Bs, an IS-7, a 50B, a grill, and a 1390.
Now, something to clarify, that is the 430
real quick,
V2.
so it actually, I apologize, it actually was Proc.
Oh, it was Proc they picked up the round on?
It wasn't Ruinberg.
Okay, I think they're on Ruinberg now.
Right, yeah, I think that's where the confusion was. But anyways.
Okay, but to go over it real quick, it is not the 430, the Tier 10, it is the Tier 9 430 version 2. Decent amount of frontal armor. It's very sloped, so that front plate can
Okay, so I've actually never seen that taken in this season.
So looking at it, that front plate being as sloped as it is, it tends to bounce a lot of shots, even though it's not that thick. I believe it comes in at 120 millimeters. Turret's pretty good, and it has the same gun off of the T-54. So, however, because it's on the chassis, it handles a little bit better. It has decent reload at around 6 seconds. It's just a fun tank to play in general.
Look at those angles.
Yep, and that
More
camo.
so, look at that camo and that beautiful eClipse logo at the butt of the turret. Love it.
Yep. So, and in that position that it's in, being a very narrow tank, you can get up against that wall and be very hard to get shots on. So,
and by the way, if you want to learn how to side scrape or angle a tank for a position, this is pretty much textbook.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think he's over-angled a bit. If you angle too far, you may take some damage.
Don't take this away from me.
He's more. The problem with the 430 is the gun or the turret can actually spin all the way around. It can only go, I believe it's just short of 180 degrees on all sides in front. And so what he was doing there is he's looking at a situation where he can get his gun on target.
Given his tank's limitations, it's textbook. James,
he was trying to stay where he was close to the building. Meanwhile,
I'm trying to learn here, and I'm trying to sound important, all right? And you just take it away. I've done so much work, and I've dove into this community. I love this community now, and you just kind of poop on my parade. That's messed up.
Yep. And the IS-7 pushed up rather aggressively there down the 9 line. However, the thing to look at is he's actually completely isolated. And the rest of the tanks are pushing up the 9 line. So what they've done is they've used that IS-7 to push up and split the map in half. They should have vision almost all the way up to that alpha line. When we say something like the alpha line, Bravo line, we're referring to the coordinates on the map. So alpha line would be A1, A2, A3, all the way across. Bravo
4-1 Apex, by the way. Quick update.
4-1 Apex.
It's looking like we predicted, which is pretty much a shutout.
Yep, so that's going to leave Rival coming up next, need to put some points onto the board.
Big match for Rival.
They put some points, they'll take the pressure off.
But it's not
them
about that. It's about these tanks coming out from Team CD. They're going to push all the way down that 0 line. Tigers in that 50B is probably going to proxlite someone very soon. Meanwhile, nice shot coming onto Baby Halo. Tigers, good night!
Gets ammo racked and just goes down. Meanwhile, CD taking a bunch of damage in return. And Trey's going back, and he actually wasn't even ammo racked. He just got focused, fired. All the guns, all the 215Bs, and that grill all hitting him at the same time. However, Baby Halo is alive, and CD are in the driving seat right now. Baby Halo just trying to find some shots onto Brett. Meanwhile, T1 Diabetic looking for a shot onto that grill off in the distance. So we'll have to see if you can land it here. Pompous just trying to split this Bravo line. Make sure that they hold it. They can get some cap pressure going. If any tank wants to cross, they're going to punch him.
And rename his restricted movement from wall hacks.
Yep, he is just pushing him up against that wall. And now the thing is when he pushes them like that,
rename. Wait a second.
Focus.
Rename may have bitten off a little more than he can chew. Wallhacks should be able to take him out, and there it is, the shot from the T10.
Wallhacks and Vetro saying enough bullying our friends. Get him out of there. However,
That's
I think Wallhacks might be stuck.
Kind of stuck, though. Either way, it's a bad situation.
CD's still in the driving seat, though.
So Rename is actually haunting him from the grave. And definitely CD in the driving seat. This Wallhack's nice shot, so almost...
So while still being stuck, he does manage to get a shot
He's actually making that position work. Like, really well.
Oh, it looks like he can get up and over there because he's not completely stuck. He can get over thanks to the new physics.
Pompous and that grill has to be careful. Wallhacks, if he peeks over, that grill has absolutely 0 armor. That turret is a free target.
However, that 4005 is coming in behind him. He could find a shot on the back
here. T1 Diabetic, this would be very dangerous. They're now going to charge for Ox Mathis, and they should be able to take him out of here in just a second. There he goes. Shots fired to the rear now. And finally, Smiley Rage is rejoining the battle in that 50B in the autoloader. This should be a round in favor of Team CD if they can just clean up these last 2 tanks.
T1 Diabetic's just going to drive out into the open and look for a shot. He does
and
fire.
He's going to get it. Unfortunately, it's not going to be the kill he needs. And Team CD picking up their first battle against eClipse.
So not bad out of CD, picking up around
that
on attack.
That was on attack, yeah, on Himmels, which is theoretically a very defensive sided map.
It's kind of shifted back and forth as the meta's kind of evolved. Sometimes it can definitely be a bit more defensively sided.
Well, it also depends on the teams and what strats they're running, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but just with the shift, originally the cap up there in the north wasn't as far to the east as it was, and the south cap, I actually believe, didn't have the building out in the middle of it before, and so they kind of had to rearrange it a little bit, add some cover, and it kind of made the map a little bit more friendly to the attacking sides. But even then,
fair enough.
It still tends to be a defensively sided map. However, it's one of those maps where there are a lot more viable attacking strategies that you can do, and so it really, like you said, it depends a lot on the teams and the strats that they run.
Right. Well, again, it's still 4-1 Apex versus Get Flanked. We will get the official verdict once that match is ended. But right now, going into the damage real quick, we see that Pompous actually putting out 4,800 damage in that Grill 15.
Yep, so just able to do work there. He was able to punish a lot of those tanks going back and forth and came in there late and was able to play cleanup. And once again, Pompous, almost 5,000 damage while being sick. And he's still top in the league in damage done.
Right.
So,
so
just
yeah, if
continually doing
you
work.
have him on your fantasy team, well done.
And Ox coming in second for his team there at 3,800. And then meanwhile, second, looking at the rest, that 430v2 just not really able to get into the fight at all. He pretty much got eviscerated by...
Eviscerated.
I believe it was by Pompous in that grill.
It was a lot of damage very quickly, and I don't know what happened to him. It's almost as if his tank wasn't even in the battle.
Yeah, and so the broadside of that tank is not necessarily the thickest. It can side scrape decently just because it has the tracks there. The tracks will tend to absorb a lot of it, and it's a rather low-profile tank. And the turret's pretty thick. It's just if you're completely broadside to something like a Grill 15, chances of you actually bouncing something are slim to none.
And that grill
hits hard. It's half his HP gone in one shot, essentially. And another thing to look at from that last round was T1 Diabetic in that 4,005 just really couldn't get into the fight. He did 1,600, a couple, non-pen shots for 7,800
yeah, but you
damage.
want to see a tank like the 4,005 do way more than that.
Yeah, once again, not able to do his own HP and damage. And, he only got off, looking down here, let's see. So he fired 4 times, only connected 2, and didn't pen either of them. So only, doing 800 a pop.
Well, we'll have to see now, as this is a very good situation for Team CD as they are on defense of Himmels now.
Yep, and eClipse's lineup going into this looks a little bit interesting.
Yeah,
so
we'll have to see.
Get to that. But looking at that, CD also bringing a rather interesting lineup. So both these teams, and CD doesn't look to be bringing anything out there too far.
No, not really.
So it should be a good match here.
Absolutely. All right, so eClipse 113, 350Bs, a Grill 15, and then 2 Batchat Tier 9 APs. And then, of course, we have Team CD bringing 3 215Bs, a 113, a 50B, an E3, which we often very much see on defense here on this map. It's a great tank destroyer, American tank destroyer. And then, of course, Baby Halo in the 1390.
Yep, and looking at the lineups here, what I was most intrigued by is look at how much burst eClipse are bringing. They're bringing not only the 350Bs, but the double Tier 9 Batchats.
So they're definitely going into, eviscerate some tanks very early and get the lead, potentially back off until those clips are done, and then come back. But Vetro already starting on X-Soldier here in the 113.
So Ox is in a very tricky situation. He doesn't have a whole lot of places he can go. And the rest of the team for CD just kind of staying passive.
And if that E3 turns the corner of B5...
He's going to have another side shot. So
yeah,
between X-Soldier down here and that E3, it's going to leave not very many places for Ox to go, having to pull forward into this cubby. It's pretty much the only safe place he has at this point. However, that could pretty quickly change if these 215Bs reposition.
Oh, absolutely. And, you still have to realize that grill of Brett, if he gets any shots, whether he's sitting up there on the Overwatch or if he's going down the zero line to potentially get a shot off anywhere over on Alpha, it's going to be devastating.
Yep, and looking at it, eClipse maybe, trying to bait CD into a rotate here. They've left these 250Bs down in the south, only showing Ox Mathis, who's up in the north now. But Ox Mathis has taken a lot of damage. He's down to almost 870 HP. Z3 just sitting here, hold down behind those windows. This is what I was talking about earlier. This E3, if you can keep its sides guarded and the lower plate covered, it's almost an impossible tank to dig out of those situations. There is one tiny little sliver in the gun mantlet where if you hit it with a heat shell with a high enough penetration, I believe it has to be 330 or higher, you can kind of sometimes pen it.
And I really like this attack here coming out of Team eClipse because they have one tank in the spot that is very common and similar, very normal for what we see as far as taking this cap with, and that is wall hacks, but he's going to immediately back off. At the same time I say that, though, immediately the split comes from Team CD, and they're doing a great job of neutralizing any cap pressure whatsoever. But Mort is going to come around the corner and take out Fixer as Ox is trying to back up. He should be out here, and Wallhacks just dies.
Yeah, and Mort came in behind here and is getting some good damage off onto these tanks. However, they're now focusing on him. Merle gets the shot on Ox Mathis, finally taking him out. And now Merle has to deal with Vetro, who's going to come around that corner and should be loaded pretty soon.
Brett, though, is going to come around, and he should be able to delete Pompous. No. He actually saves his shot. What is he looking for? Maybe rename or Baby Halo.
And this is looking good for CD to put a second point up on the board.
In fact, they are going to put a second point on the board. It's only Tigers and Mort left, and Mort has no HP left at all. Not sure what happened with Wallhacks there. He just died.
I wasn't looking at it at the time. I was so focused on Merle coming around this corner, trying to simp for the 215B of Fixer reloaded just north of him, but Mort actually came around the corner. I was more worried about Pompous getting a shot off into the side of him, but Mort found the kill shot on the 215 and then drove away, and that's when Wallhacks went down off on the side. I didn't really see what happened there. But meanwhile, It's just a matter of hunting down Mort. Mort's going to take this moment to run away. And they are going to already start prepping for map number 4, which is your favorite, Cliff.
Love me some some Cliff. So fun fact, regardless of what happens, we're ending on Cliff tonight.
Yep, Cliff also the tiebreaker for tonight for all the teams. Not going to be a map during our third match. Just a little bit of a spoiler there. So.
Unless, of course, we go to overtime.
Well, unless we go to overtime.
Yeah. And Cliff has, fun fact, Cliff has been the overtime map every single series tonight.
Well, the map... Okay, English, words.
Yes, you can do it.
Looking at it, the tiebreaker is the same map for every night. So tonight it's Cliff, and then it rotates match night by match night. So
wow,
tonight
way to
is
make
Cliff.
me sound really dumb. But you are absolutely correct. Okay, that's payback for what I said to you earlier. And I'm 100% okay with that.
So Mort just choosing to drive around right now, trying to buy some more time as they get ready for Cliff. However, X-Soldier is going to show up at the bottom.
Wow.
And put him out of his misery.
What a shot, though. He did. That was a nutty shot from that bat shot.
Yep, just got off a little snap there. Man it count. And that makes it 4-2 in favor of Eclipse.
Yeah, sorry, I'm all over the place tonight.
Which, if I recall, I said it was either going to be 5-1 or 5-2.
That's correct. So
depending on
could
Eclipse.
Potentially be yet another correct call for you tonight, which I'm sure you're feeling pretty good about. But really good job from Team CD to neutralize Team Eclipse there in the north. I thought it was a very good play.
Ox Mathis getting caught out.
Wallhacks killing himself. Just really good stuff, not only from Team CD, but mistakes from Eclipse that we don't normally see.
Yeah, no, and I like what I saw out of CD. The defense was very solid. They understood. They got a little bit fortunate that X-Soldier didn't go down in the south. Those 50Bs came around, but he managed to just back off in time and get around the corner so he didn't lose all his HP.
Something I worry about, I mean, it's not huge, but it could potentially be something in the future that we see that could be bad. Eclipse, they're making uncharacteristic mistakes, and you could argue, sure, this could be them taking their foot off the gas a little bit because they're 100% safe for the next round robin, but even still, this could be something that costs them in the next round robin, in the future, losing little rounds like this where they potentially shouldn't.
Yep, and looking at it, Pappas Magnus still maintaining top damage for his team, so good stuff there. And looking at it real quick, it says Wallhax was destroyed by ramming, so he probably ran into either something or hit a tank and ended up ending himself.
I love the way you put that. End yourself. No, you're right.
There's just no reason for him to die in this situation, apparently.
You're 100% correct.
Maybe trying to save a teammate, throw a gun off, but didn't happen. And in return, he comes in there, last on his team in damage at 300.
And most of eClipse heading out the bottom there of the damage. So
yep, and like I said, I didn't catch what happened to him, so I'll go back later and watch the replay, his POV on whatreplays.com, and find out exactly what I missed there. So
also, Apex takes out Getflank 5-1.
Yep, so that's going to just put one more nail in the coffin.
I wanted the upset
Getflank
so bad. I just wanted 1 point so I could turn all of your notes into trash.
Yep, so looking at it, so now here's the thing, is now Rival need 4 points out of their next 2 matches to guarantee their safety. 4 points, and that's it. That's all they need. So 1 overtime loss at the bare minimum for tonight to guarantee their safety.
So my question is, if they actually just lose tonight,
then it's going to come down to Thursday and how the results shape up there. So basically what happens is if they get nothing out of tonight's match and get flanked win on that next match day, it's done. Yeah. They're going home.
Well, again, it's not about that. eClipse, CD, next map. Let's go.
Cliff, the most dynamic map in the league. Battles on Cliff always turn into desperate double-edged fights. Teams start from the same spots as they do in standard battles. The first base is located near the defender's spawn point, and the second is at the bottom of the hill. Sometimes teams split their forces and send several tanks through the 1-2 line to the left of the small hill, but usually both teams play at the center. The attacking team can send one of the tanks up to the lighthouse or behind it. Fast and quick-firing vehicles are better suited for this map, mainly medium tanks, including tanks equipped with autoloaders.
Team CD coming in with a very unorthodox play, bringing 2 Grill 15s.
You should have seen Dustin's face when he saw that lineup. 3 bat chats, 2 Grill 15s, and 2 tier 9 bat chats. Those grills could pretty much delete almost anything, especially if they high roll.
I am very interested to see how this plays.
Yep. Meanwhile, eClipse coming in with 5 bat chats, a TVP, and an RU-251. Meanwhile, the cross coming out for CD. They've gotten most of their tanks over towards the 3-line. It's X-Soldier here that's going to get isolated and bullied, and the gun's not coming in here. Not really getting any damage off.
Those grills are firing off so much damage already coming out. Mort is pretty much dead. But wait a second, there is a slight fire on X-Soldier. And these little baby rams are going to do it, and now they're just staring at each other.
I think they're both out of shells.
They are out of shells indeed, and here comes Tigers for a ram. And he's going to do it. Because that could have been real awkward. 2 people sitting at a dinner table looking at their phones. Obviously, they don't want to talk to each other. That's pretty much what that situation was. They were both out of shells.
Yep, but the thing is that cost eClipse a lot. They are up on HP by about 500, but that cost them probably a good bit more than they should be okay with. eClipse only have... Well, they have 2 tanks that are one-shotters, and a third of Ox is also low on HP. Those grills could kill... One grill on the other team could kill 4 of the tanks on eClipse with 1 shot. So Ox sitting there. Vetro, he would need a high roll, 750 average. 750 average alpha.
It's okay, man. I've been off my game tonight, too.
So a high roll could put Vetro down.
Yes,
that's definitely within their own
Something
possibility.
to note, though, is these grills are still very healthy.
Yep, so
from Team CD.
Yeah, and that's partially because eClipse didn't challenge the 1 line at all. They had Wallhax in the south there, just trying to get some intel. Meanwhile, it's actually Wallhax has shifted all the way around the map and gotten up into the north, and he's going to join the bat chat over there on the 2-cap. And so essentially what eClipse are doing right now is they're making, like I said earlier, they're going to make CD run the gauntlet. They have to become that attacking side again and retake their own cap, and they are so far away that it's going to be quite challenging. They have to find a way to shift through the middle here, and if you look, a majority of the guns, all 7 guns obviously still alive for eClipse, 5 of their guns are in position to punish any sort of cross to go get a reset on that 2-cap.
This is actually something I've never seen, which is any sort of cap pressure whatsoever on this map. I've never seen, I don't even think I've seen that cap pressure timer pop once on Cliff.
There was some strats that I used to be very fond of back in the 754
Fixer,
days.
though, and Rename taking out the tanks of eClipse. That's 2 tanks down. Diabetic trading Rename in the TVP. But this is looking very good for eClipse. In fact, I would almost say this is a guaranteed win.
Yeah, they're up by about double the HP, and it's just down to Fixer Reloaded and Smiley Rage to finish this up. Fixer's going to get in here behind this rock, try to find some shots. Caps at 2. No resets coming in. He couldn't snap that shot off. And that is going to secure the win for eClipse. 5-2. And as Master People said, 0 points going out for CD.
And again, 5-2. Predicted correctly, Mr. James.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's pretty straightforward stuff. EClipse, like I said, may taking their gas off, taking their foot off the gas. I don't know why I'm stumbling over my words so much this match. But, just struggling there a little bit.
Taking their gas off the foot, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. So just maybe struggling there a little bit. Both me and eClipse, dropping a couple rounds, a little bit uncharacteristic for them.
That's good.
However,
at the
end, they get the 3 points. And right. Once again, they brought Wallhacks and Ox both into this. They sat Master People out, and as well as Dark God Zim.
Yeah.
So maybe that also played a bit for it.
Again,
2 new players coming into that lineup, not quite fully
They're trying to
yet.
integrate again, just so they have those players ready to be switched out or switched in at a moment's notice for the next round robin, because as we said before, the team is 100% safe. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be here. So, yep. I mean, that could be it. Again, watching them drop 2 rounds consecutively on Himmels was a little odd, but, I mean, well played to Team CD. So,
yep. The first thing I noticed here is actually Pompous Magnus is nowhere near the top page. Smiley Rage is, though, up there at 3,100, and then 5 tanks from eClipse, Mort, Ox, Tigers, Vetro, and 2 Diabetic. The push out of eClipse was a little bit, I don't want to say sloppy. They gave away almost 2,000 HP just trying to kill X-Soldier on top of that hill, and they almost fluffed it. They missed a lot of their shots, and somehow X-Soldier and Mort were sitting up there, both one-shots, and it was Tigers that had to come in all the way from the bottom with his shell still loaded to finish him off.
And X-Soldier's, again, coming in from Team Apex, he actually switched back for a second. There we see post-match stats. Total damage, 126. Not a lot.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be 12,000. However,
yes.
I'm not really sure what's going on there. Meanwhile, looking at the second page, T1 Diabetic, 10,000 damage. Rename and Fixer Reloaded
that's
also
what
10K.
happens when you get a ringer from another team, you know what I'm saying?
Brett and Wallhacks coming in there, and Wallhacks even able to do 7,700 over 7 games, so pretty consistent damage there out of him.
Again, I love tier 8 light players are my favorite. Obviously, Blue Mini, I love Wallhacks as well. Still, to put that much damage, it's very impressive because, again, that's not necessarily what that tank is there for. That tank is there for lights. That tank is there to scout, get as much information as possible. And sure, we've seen some tier 8 light heroes that have gone big for their teams. So to see consistent damage out of those tanks, for me, it's always great to see. And Wallhacks is an amazing player again.
Yep, it's kind of interesting to see the competition between